for First Up in Asia with me, Susan Lee. Welcome back. Now, Chinese government workers start traveling across the country today to carry out the first census in the country in 10 years, and they aim to do it all in just 10 days. 6 million officials will do the count of around 1.3 billion people, and one key measure here is the number of children. The government wants to know how many families are having extra children in spite of the one-child policy. Now, many Chinese don't register births in order to avoid paying fines. One of the most daunting challenges here will be getting accurate numbers of migrant workers. Now, they may not be willing to help the census workers because they often move around the country illegally in search of work, and other people may also be reluctant to give out their details. At the last census, most Chinese worked for the government, but today looks like more people work in the private sector and may not be paying all their taxes, you see. In an online poll on website Sina.com, 1/3 of respondents say that it was unsafe to allow census takers into their homes. Those results, by the way, are scheduled to be released in April of next year. Now, here in Hong Kong, 3 141-year-old bottles of Chateau Lafite Rothschild have now become the world's most expensive wine ever sold at auction. These bottles went for more than $230,000 each at a sale here in Hong Kong, which is highlighting China's love affair with the House of Lafite. Rosalind Chin reports.
Selling, all done, sold at $850,000.
It's not often there's a chance to bid for one of Asia's most sought-after wines. And still rarer, the wine is straight from the cellars of Chateau Lafite Rothschild. Nearly 2,000 bottles went under the hammer, with vintages dating back as far as 1869.
You get wines from the 19th century, which is in pristine conditions because it comes directly from the cellar. It doesn't happen that much. I mean, it's a very rare opportunity.
Bidders are willing to pay a premium for that assurance of quality, and they did.
You've come a long way, you may as well go to $1 million.
And then there's the brand. Buyers in Hong Kong and China just can't get enough of Chateau Lafite.
I guess you could say it's the Rolls-Royce of the red wine.
According to the Livex Lafite Index, prices are up nearly 600% in the last 5 years. That's mostly driven by demand from China and Hong Kong. Although there's been huge growth in sales of all fine wines, Lafite has caught the taste buds of the Chinese more than any other market.
I think Lafite has and continues to maintain a really special place. I think that truth is not the same. In fact, the reputation of Lafite in other Asian markets is not the same as it is in China.
The wine industry has boomed since Hong Kong abolished duties in 2008, with auction after auction giving Asian buyers easy access to some of the world's finest products. This year, Hong Kong became Sotheby's top market for wine auctions, easily surpassing London or New York. They've already taken in more than $34 million. That's more than double the total for the whole of last year. China is now the #1 market for Bordeaux wines in volume and value, but there are only around 14 million imported wine drinkers. With record-smashing prices being set, producers, traders and auction houses are all making sure they're in position when the rest of China discovers its taste for wine. Rosalind Chin, Bloomberg.
Okay, we're going to get to the markets now. Let's quickly check in on how Asian stocks are setting up for this Monday session. Australia has been underway for an hour already. The ASX 200 index is still trading in the money, higher by 0.75%. In fact, we're seeing these gains accelerate throughout the hour. Now, as for New Zealand, which has been in action for almost 2 hours now, we're seeing this benchmark also higher, though marginally up by 0.1%. Let's quickly check in on Japan. Those Nikkei futures are now starting trade in Singapore, and this is a closer indication as to what we'll get at the start for the Nikkei 225. Right now, those futures in Singapore pricing in a decline of 30 points or so. And of course, the Japanese markets will come online in just about 3 minutes from here. It may be affected today by that surging yen, again, close to that 40-year high, close to breaking 80 to the US dollar at this point. We'll be closely watching and monitoring this currency throughout the session. Also, we got consumer prices out of South Korea this morning, and CPI growing at the fastest pace in almost 2 years. We had CPI rising 4.1% in the month of October, which is actually 0.2 percentage point, more than what economists had expected. So that means more pressure on the central bank to raise interest rates when they meet in just 2 weeks' time, especially now that the inflation rate has peaked above the bank bank's target of 4%. South Korea's currency, the won, by the way, has strengthened around 5% against the U.S. dollar just in the past 3 months. And before we go, let's take a look at movies. And it seems that all cinema goers wanted Halloween, and it was all about blood. We had Saw 3D raking in more than $24 million over the weekend, making it the top film